Arsenal.
Welcome to Starler Play episode 59. I'm joined by Basil, Kojo, man. What are you both saying?
Yeah, I'm good.
The smiles are back. There must have been wins yesterday. No, so it's good to
only wins for one team.
listen. Well, is United tonight though, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
You got Sporting? Is it Sporting you got?
No, they got FCSB. So,
Okay, sorry.
Whatever the name is, I don't know, but we're fourth in the league anyway, so we should be fine.
Okay.
Say nothing, man. Say nothing. But anyone who's new here, if you're a new subscriber, please make sure you subscribe. You like the videos, you share your thoughts, especially if you're here as part of the live stream as well. Make sure you get involved in the discussion. But let's talk Champions League first of all, because was it 18 games yesterday, which is unheard of. 18 fixtures all at the same time. Some teams had dead rubbers. I'd say Liverpool's is probably a dead rubber. I think they lost 3-2. But let's start with the Arsenal game. 2-1, I think it was in the end, wasn't it? It was a resounding victory for Arsenal. Basil, what's your take from the game, and does that set Arsenal up now potentially to progress even further in the Champions League?
I'm not too sure. We scraped, if people we scraped a victory. I mean, Girona had a goal also disallowed for offside. It's not pretty by Arsenal. I think, and it's the same struggles as last season. Is when things are tight and Arsenal need a goal, we don't know where the goals are going to come from. And because what we're looking at Arsenal, I want to say that when Arsenal take the lead, sometimes you can't see them scoring. You can't see Arsenal gaining a 2-3 goal advantage as it is with other teams. It seems it's a lot easier for other teams to kind of extend an advantage goal-wise when they're playing teams than it is with Arsenal, because Arsenal just struggle to really create any real chances. And it's been the story of Arsenal this season. And the reason why I say that's going to hinder Arsenal is because it was the same last season and the season prior. In those key games where you need someone to come up with something or a key goal, Arsenal struggle to do it. And I go back to a few matches. Porto was one of those where we had to win by penalties. Bayern Munich was another match where we had to win, where we were knocked out because when the game's kind of tight, you don't have anyone who can kind of come up with the goods and score regard nothing. The season prior, we see, or even last season, the league, we see against Villa last year in the league. So yes, Arsenal will get by, but they will fall short in those moments, because in those moments you kind of just need a moment of brilliance or something different to get you over the line, which I don't think Arsenal have. So I'm not complaining about the victory, but I think it just stems to wider problems that will come back to bite Arsenal in the butt as the season progresses. Whereas you look at other teams like Liverpool, they have goals from a wide range of players and seem like they can score at any moment. Yes, they lost 3-2, but it was a much changed side. But even with that, they still looked very threatening and created a few chances, which from the Girona Arsenal game, there wasn't much highlights from the game because there wasn't that many clear-cut chances created by Arsenal in that game. And then also, just before I hand over to either yourself or Kojo, I have zero idea what Neto was doing for that goal, honestly. It was beyond comfort. I don't know whether he was playing goalkeeper, it was playing defender. It reminded me of the time when you used to play football in the cage and you have rush goalies where the goalkeeper
Listen, I still got PTSD from Sanchez, so I hear your pain, man. I hear your pain. Crazy.
So yeah, I mean that was a moment of madness. I mean, I don't know what was worse, how far he came out or the fact that he even tried to make a save so
and
far
out. Was that his debut as well?
Yeah, it's his debut because that's the only competition he can play.
Yeah, of course.
I think, yeah.
It's crazy, man. Crazy. But Kojo, Arsenal, third. They finished third in the group. Obviously the new format. So I mean, respectfully, I think that's a good position for them to finish at one defeat, I think, throughout the whole tournament so far. I think, if I'm not mistaken, just trying to find it on here now, I think Arsenal have Inter Milan. Is that correct?
No. No. So the teams. So now you got the playoffs. The teams between 9th and 24th. Obviously, they've done which number of us
okay.
play each other.
Yeah.
Those two teams will play each other, and then in a draw, the winners from each whatever will get put against one or the other. So, like for example, people thought Man City had Real Madrid.
No,
they have Real Madrid are playing Bayern. City play Celtic, and then if City get through, they play one or the other. And yeah, either way, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, no confirmed for the guys that are in the top 8 yet, so they can just sort of sit and relax and just watch the chaos unfold.
Make some transfer bids as well. In the meantime, we're going to get onto that in a minute. But I want to talk about Man City, because obviously Man City were very, very, I thought, lucky, very fortunate to get through eventually. Club Brugge, I think they were playing last night. Didn't start the game very well, but then went on, as they do under City at times. They went on to get the victory, get the points that they needed to secure qualification. But Kojo, City look like they're still kind of struggling. I know they've obviously brought in some reinforcements with Marmoush and others, but you know, the holders almost going out the Champions League, finishing it on 11 points. Would you have, I mean, where do you see them standing in the European competition? Do you see them still as one of the favourites to go all the way to Munich this year, I think, the final? But do you see them going all the way?
Nah, I think. Look, this gonna sound crazy to a lot of people considering what they achieved last year, but I don't think they've played particularly well for the last year. If you're talking about dating back to this time last year, they've had a lot of games where, like Bruges yesterday, Bruges score
Yeah.
and then they don't put their chances away to make it 2, make it 3. And obviously, City have the quality, as we've spoken about many times, so much depth to just find something out of the locker and just go on to win the game. That's what quality brings you when you have quality in abundance. But I can't look at them and call them a favourite right now because the performance yesterday wasn't convincing. It was still another shaky performance. And a better team goes 1-0 up and then scores the second and then scores the third, and they're in big trouble, which doesn't bode well for them facing one of Bayern or Real Madrid. And Bayern have not been electrifying this year, but
No.
they've got the quality to punish you. Real Madrid have not been utterly electrifying this year, but they've got the quality to punish you as well. And that's the last thing they need when it comes to a Champions League draw. The only way that changes is from now they start going on a run where they look like their old selves, getting some good goals in, good numbers, good points in the league, and then bringing that into Champions League football. But until then, they're not convincing for me. But it's been coming. It's been coming, and I think it's been a bit lazy of them to use Rodri as the main reason for why their form was dropped, because you sign players like Mateus Nunes to be the backup to him. And Mateus Nunes has so far played right wing, left back, right back, centre mid, centre defensive mid. It's comical. It's comical. You're doing it to yourself, kind of thing. So look, they're still a good side, obviously, but yeah, I wouldn't consider them favourites for the Champions League this year. Honestly, I don't think they get past the playoffs if they play once they play Real Madrid or Bayern Munich. So yeah, there you go for me.
I'll also add it's a strange one because I was watching. Like, Pep has to shoulder some of the blame. Some of these tactics and setups for me is ridiculous. Like honestly, like for instance, they got lucky against Chelsea. For starting like a young 20-year-old who doesn't speak the language, it's
Yeah.
just a right in your in a match against a big team is ridiculous. And then also like Pep is a weird guy in terms of sometimes when players are in form, he just drops them. Like Savinho was in good form for like 2, 3 games. All of a sudden, isn't playing doesn't even come on for 2 Premier League games. Doesn't start the Champions League game, and then he comes on. You kind of see the impact he has. So I don't understand. Saying Doku has a good game, then he's dropped the next game. So it's kind of weird how Pep refuses to use natural wingers in his team, which I find very strange. Like Pep is a very strange guy. Like, and this is where like I said, I don't rate him as highly. Pep is a fantastic world class manager. Don't say that, but I sometimes don't eulogize him as much as some people, some pundits do, because I'm like, when it comes to these crunch times and difficult times, he kind of shows himself that sometimes he doesn't know what to do. And so it's very confused because I can't even understand how bad defensively City have become, because it's still relatively the same players. People talk about injuries. No, it's not injuries. There's still Stones playing. There's still Diaz is there. There's still a Kanji playing. I mean, he's basically playing with a normal back four, obviously bar maybe a few fullbacks that he's usually played in past seasons. So the injuries itself is kind of exaggerated at City because they still have the core players there at the club. And like I said, yesterday they were very, very lucky to walk away victory because Bruges did not take some of the chances. that they should have taken in that game. But yeah, Pep for me is people talk about he overthinks. He definitely overthinks when the tide turns and things aren't, things and the setup has been kind of destabilized for him, and that's why I find his decision making very very odd at times.
No, I agree, man. I agree. I think with Pepper as well, I think he hasn't really got any excuses because
Mm.
every opportunity he's been provided with maybe not the best players that he wants at his disposal, but he's still got a squad to pick from. And even some of the players that, like you just saying, then Basil as well, some of the players that he might not necessarily want to pick or he drops them, like he doesn't even sometimes put them on the bench. So it's not even like he's got that option then to take them off the bench and use them in the squad. I think Doc. I don't know if Doku was injured yesterday, but I don't think he was even on the bench for City. So it just doesn't make sense when he does those sort of things. And I feel unless they resolve that in the summer by bringing in a few more additions, which I think they still need to do. They need to look at that defense, that the right side and even the left side. I think Gravaldio's still playing left back for them. Yes, he's done well, but I wouldn't necessarily. I still think they need to resolve that. I just don't see them winning. I can see them not winning anything this season, if I'm honest. I can't see them really winning the league now. That's Liverpool's. And I think there's stronger teams, the likes of Real Madrid. I'd even put Liverpool in that conversation for the Champions League. Bayern Munich are up there as well, to go on and win the Champions League. But I'll ask both of you. I'll come to you first, Basil. In terms of any shocks for those teams that didn't make it through, so I'm thinking maybe Bologna, RB Leipzig finished 32nd in the Champions League as well. Shakhtar Donetsk, who I like watching them, especially throughout the Champions League previously. But was there any shocks for you that some of those teams that didn't get through, or are you thinking,
No,
yeah, those teams that didn't get through, you can see why?
no, there was no shocks. I will say this right quickly. The format actually grew on me because I remember I think
Yeah,
maybe the first round or maybe two rounds it didn't feel like a Champions League. But I'll say this. This is why for me there was no shocks and why I enjoyed the format, because I think even for the smaller teams, there's, how would I put this? I don't know how to say less jeopardy, but I think it gives teams more opportunities. And because of that, you get better games, you get more competitive games. Because in the league format, because of the seeds, you have a lot of these teams, small teams in with a lot of big guys. You lose maybe your first two matches, you're demotivated. But I think with this one, what you kind of saw is that because they had, what was it, 10 games or was it 8 games that they had? I think it was
I
eight
think it was 8.
games.
Yeah, an
Eight.
extra 2 games, I
Even
think.
though they kind of know even if I lose one, I still have an opportunity,
Yeah,
which is why I said there's no shocks, because what you had now is you had teams now, but we have opportunities, we can make it more competitive, we can go for it a bit more. And that's why you kind of had a lot of mixed results quite a few of the times during those 8 game weeks, because teams will realize, oh, if we win maybe 3 or 4, we have a chance of advancing to maybe a playoff at a minimum. And because of that, it gives teams more impetus to actually take the game to the bigger teams, which is why in and I realized, oh, there's no shocks. There's actually teams just realizing we have a greater opportunity than we've ever had in previous years to advance in the competition. And because of that, you saw better performances from them. And you saw a lot more entertaining games as the weeks went by. I think the first game week, teams were feeling each other out. And then from, I'll say, from game three onwards, you started to see actually the quality improve. So that's the reason why, for me, there was no shocks. I think it's more just teams up in their levels because they realize they have great opportunities to actually advance.
yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that as well. Kojo, what's your thoughts on the format in terms of obviously going back from those individual smaller group stages to a full competitive league table? Does it give any of those teams any advantages that you would think who have qualified, or the Liverpools, the Barca's, the Arsenals, the Inters? Does it give them any advantage, or is it just a case it's open, fair competition, fair game for everyone? Like, you in agreement with Basil?
Yeah, no, I love the format. I love the format. I kind of understood it a lot earlier when they released it. I understood it a bit earlier because obviously, Football Manager did their own sort of version of it.
Yeah, yeah,
When you progress further in the years, and they actually showed the format. When they showed the format on the UEFA website, it matched perfectly. So I was like, okay, this makes sense, and therefore my excitement grew because I think the more important aspect of this is it gives the lesser teams who do perform sometimes a chance to really go through. None of that's now you finish third, you go to the Europa League, or you finished fourth, but you were kind of competitive. You know, you've got in the group you got like Monaco are going to play Brest. Now you've got the two teams who Monaco will not be expected to be a challenger for the Champions League. They've obviously done well in the Champions League in recent years. You're talking about Falcao years and go all the way back to Ludovic Julie if you want to. But you know they're not a powerhouse now. Obviously, Brest, Michael Richards aside, um, they've they've competed and they've got into a good position where they can at least go into a playoff and challenge. Juventus are not as stronger side as they used to be. Feyenoord are a decent side. You know, there's competition there. Somewhat even like Club Brugge, they lost yesterday, but they got through the skin of their teeth, and they're playing Sporting Lisbon, who with Sporting they are a good side. They've caused trouble this year, but they also had the difficulties in their manager and stuff. So now that makes it a competitive game. It just adds to the excitement. And now you've got teams like Lille who are pushing through. Aston Villa have pushed through just about. You know, even Bayer Leverkusen, the fact that they got through automatically, that doesn't reflect their form tables in the Bundesliga. Bayern are top, and they're comfortably clear right now. But you know, it shows that this form here doesn't mean this form's going to be here. You got to challenge in different ways. Real Madrid are top of the Champions League, but they struggle to get through to the playoffs this year around. It's exciting. It's exciting. So I think having that in all competitions is really good, and I don't think you'll get a day like that again. Well, with the previous format anyway, where you have all the games on at one go, and you just see how the table just goes up and down. It's sort of like you know how people enjoy the championship last day. Who's going to win the
Yeah,
playoffs?
yeah.
Who's
That's
going
what
to the playoffs?
that's
Who's
the
going to go
vibe I
through to
got.
the yeah? Who's going to get automatically promoted? Who's going to get relegated? All that stuff. It adds to the excitement of it. It's good. So yeah, long may it continue, man. And I think this is the idea they had for the Super League. But obviously, I think the original Super League idea of having like 8 permanent members was stupid. I think if they had
Yeah,
advertising like this from day
that,
one, we'd be calling
that's
this the
what,
Super League right now.
yeah, that's what they shot themselves in the foot with it, with the Super League.
We're gonna create this league, yeah, where the richer get richer, and all you little minions at the bottom. You can come and join us if you want, but we're gonna be here all the time. You know them way there. But no, I think it's good. I think it offers a lot of opportunity for other teams that essentially previous tournaments wouldn't have potentially progressed through. And I agree. It kind of felt like, I don't know if you guys watch NFL sometimes, but you know, like the red zone where you like what you were saying before, Basil, about the goal show, and just like
Yeah.
flicking between the games, you're seeing the goals go in, you're flicking to this. And I felt, yes, it might be a little bit more Americanized, but I think it works in the Champions League as well. And it's still open. Like normally when you see like the group stages previously and you see the teams that go through, you kind of think, right, I think that team might win just based on the matches that they played in their individual group. But this is very open. This could be Aston Villa's year to win it. Do you know what I mean? It could be anyone's. I don't
And
personally
also,
think that, but
yeah,
it could be anyone's.
yeah, and I also had lots of spell because one thing I did like this format too. For instance, we had Man City v PSG, which is a big game with jeopardy.
Yeah.
Usually, you will never get that so early on. Like you have big teams playing each other,
Yeah,
where
yeah.
it's like, oh, we have
I think
to win the game.
Liverpool and Madrid as well. Real Madrid.
You know, exactly, where there was significance in the game, whereas before you probably would have had to wait maybe quarter final, maybe semi
Yeah.
for that. And so that's another reason why I did like the format, because even when the big teams were playing each other, it wasn't like before where we're both at the top. It's like Man City, PSG, whoever loses is in jeopardy of going out, and you kind of saw that game because you could actually feel the tension when I was watching that game. So I think it's I've loved the format. It took maybe after two game weeks to grow on me, but I have to say so far it's been a resounding success.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Let's hope it continues. Let's hope it doesn't get reformatted in a couple of years, because I think it is working. But let's talk transfers. Let's talk some transfer news, because whilst the games were on yesterday, my phone was going crazy. I was thinking, why is my phone pinging off like this? I was seeing all these things come through, and I'm watching the Villa game. And whilst I'm watching the Villa game, I'm seeing Jhon Durán's name being linked with this, that, and I'm thinking he's on the bench. Like, what's going on? So, if anyone who's been under a rock, Jhon Durán seems to have got his move to Al Nassr. I think it's like 70. Is it 75 million in that region?
77 plus add-ons, which will take
Plus
it to
add-ons.
90,
Now,
which will take it to
And
90 euros. 40 about
Yep.
90.
And the 77 is going straight into their bank account as well. There's no installments. It's straight up
No,
money.
it's straight pure cash, man. It's pure cash.
Straight.
They've wired that money straight away, instant banking.
Right.
What's that?
What's
The
that?
reason why Henry came out straight away and said, "Oh, it's good money," because he knows.
Yeah.
What's that Busta Rhymes song? Arab money. Yeah.
I'm getting Arab money. Yeah.
Yeah, that man don't play, bro.
But he's 21, I think, or 22. Now, there's a question whether is this more just a financial set himself up for a couple of years and then maybe come back to European football? I'll go to you first, Kojo. What do you think about the transfer? I think he's having his medical today in London to secure the move. Is this a right call for him at his time in his career when there were other clubs, especially in Europe, that were, trying to sign him? Is it more of just a case of secure himself financially and then come back to Europe?
Maybe I don't think he looked at it like that, or maybe he did. I think the prospect of the kind of money they throw at you. I'm just gonna be very honest. The kind of money they throw at you is ridiculous. The kind of wage you can earn there is crazy. Of course, you can go to an institution in football. Many Premier League teams wanted him. I'm sure European clubs wanted him, and play Champions League football and earn probably about 150, 200k somewhere else. But he's getting already double or maybe triple that in Saudi. That's number one.
Yeah.
I think number two, if you see how Saudi Arabia have done their transfers, they've sort of gone from buying the experienced heads, luring them in to start the league, and now they're going for the younger players, and it kind of leads to the point about how I've noticed they've had like their biggest names, obviously Ronaldo, Benzema, this guy, that guy. Always every week you're hearing stuff about we want to make this league compete with this league, and we're going to build a reputation. I think they're trying to do that by bringing in some of the best young talent in Europe, and start advertising this league elsewhere so it grows. So that's the other side of it. But I think just from a career perspective, I don't think it's a bad move. Me personally, because he's still 21, I think it's okay because he's still 21. This is how I see it. I would do about 2 or 3 years there and then move back to Europe. Now, the issue is, one, when you come back to Europe, you're going to take a crazy wage cut. That's number one. And number two, if we're being brutally honest, unless that league goes through a crazy metamorphosis where it becomes one of the most attractive leagues to watch in the world, the attraction of the clubs that originally wanted him will not be there. Again, so you have to come and almost rebuild his reputation again in Europe. It's a risk, but if it's a risk he's willing to take, then so be it. He's obviously very talented. He's obviously very good. The plus side is obviously he is a full-fledged international. So if he does well in international tournaments, at least there's still eyes on that side of things. But I think just for him, in terms of career-wise, telling a 21-year-old that you're going to earn about probably a minimum of 500k a week, I don't think he could turn that down. And I think Aston Villa saw the money directly and said, "Yeah, we can't turn that down ever." So I think all parties are happy. I'm calm with it, but I do hope to see him back in Europe in one league or another in the next 3 years. That's just my hope. But more power to him, man. Sometimes it's good to go and get a crazy wage. Why not?
Go and secure the bag, because listen, footballers' careers are very short. Like do you know what I mean? Like you're yes, he's 21, but before you know it, he's 27, 28. People start, the phone's not ringing as much as it was when you're 21. So I think go and secure the money, because the money's going to set him up for life. 400 grand a week, 300 grand a week, whatever it's going to be, 500 grand a week. Like that's setting you up for life. Whatever happens, that, you're comfortable. Your family are comfortable. Your family's family are comfortable. And I know it's not all about the money, but when those kind of offers come, even at 21, I don't think you can turn it down. And yes, those clubs that were knocking on the door before might not be the same clubs in 4 or 5 years, but I think there's going to be a club, whether it's in Europe or wherever, that is going to come in for him at some point if he can continue to show the talent that he had at Villa. I think it's a good move. Basil, I want to ask you about, before we move on to the Ollie Watkins saga, I want to talk to you about Matisse Tell, because I believe that Aston Villa are trying to sign him with the money that they've now just got for Jhon Durán. Do you think that's a good move if Aston Villa can secure a player like Matisse Tell, 19, I think, hasn't really played much for Bayern Munich, but has got a lot of talent, promising talent, and could play second study to Ollie Watkins should he stay.
Yeah, so it's a mix. I think it'll be a good signing for Villa. Not sure about the player himself or that. The reason why I'm saying is because he wants to leave because he wants more regular football. I mean, I've seen bits of him, and he looks a real talent up front. Apparently, can also operate wide, where he looks like he's a talent up front. But the issue is that he wants to leave because he wants regular football. Now, the issue is that if he goes to Villa, he's going to find himself in the same situation, which is why, like I said, Duran's happy to make a move because Duran has spent most of his time on the bench behind Ollie Watkins.
Yeah.
So would you obviously Villa probably look into the future? Ollie Watkins is 29, so potentially he is potentially could be a successor to Ollie Watkins. But then it depends on how long players are willing to wait around until the number one striker is no longer the number one striker. I would be surprised if he makes the move to Villa for that reason, especially if, from the I forgot his name. The Bayern sporting director says, you can't remember the last time he's had this many calls for a player. So he's got options. So I'll be very surprised if my option is Villa. Because if the other options are offering first team football, then I can see him rejecting Villa and going somewhere where he knows he can play a lot more football, build his profile and develop.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
It would be a good move for Villa. I question whether the player would have the same appetite to join Villa if he has other options on the table.
Well, there is another option because Manchester United are also interested in
Matthew Theo.
yeah.
To be fair, to be fair, because I think it's quite clear at this point. He definitely started over the other two strikers. I mean, that's clear as day. That's clear as day. Because he's a better talent. That's as simple as it gets. So if he doesn't start, it's a travesty. That's what I don't describe it as. And I think obviously we heard the news about him now, obviously apparently saying he doesn't want to go to Chelsea. And how true that is because of the number of players.
It's true. It's true. He's rejected us. You can say he rejected us, Kojo. It's fine.
Oh no, because I thought it was alleged. I didn't know how true it was.
No, that's true. He said he's obviously looked at Nkunku. He's looked at maybe João Felix. He's looked at some other players that are just Pedro Neto, another one. They're not guaranteed starters in that Chelsea team. And if he wants more minutes, you wouldn't come to Chelsea because you're not guaranteed that at all.
Fair. Well then, so I think the light just went off for me. Fantastic. So I think it's either I think it's United or Arsenal. I think Arsenal would be very smart to go in for him. And the reason I say Arsenal is because if you look at his sort of player profile and how Arsenal build up, they're literally looking for someone who has his agility, who has his speed to get into those positions, and how we were speaking about last week about how actually it was me and Theo spoke about it a little bit about how Kai Havertz doesn't have that natural number 9 instinct because he's just not a number 9. So he's always making that second striker run instead of the main striker run.
Yeah,
Mathys Tel is a main striker who will make those runs. Obviously, because he's still young, he's 50, his finishing is not established. That's another issue for another day. But at least you need someone that's going to be in there. I'd rather have that at my club as well because the other guys, Højlund has had 12 shots in the Premier League this season as a whole.
Oh, wow, that's bad. I don't know what to say about that.
That's appalling.
How many goals out of 12 shots as well?
Exactly. Some people do that in one game. So, you know what I mean? So,
that's crazy.
I need someone that's more potent, man. I need someone that's going to be in those positions. I think that Xerxes as well does the same thing. But, we'll see. But if he comes, I'll be delighted, man. I'll be very happy.
I'd be happy as well, I'll be honest. It's apparently a loan move that United are interested in, but nonetheless, I think, someone like you said,
we can't buy him, we're broke.
Nah, listen, I'm not trying to throw no shade. I'm saying what the Athletics telling me.
I'll tell you facts. We spent on Dogu, and we went in another defensive option. We've gone and signed apparently Heaven from Arsenal. And
yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know much about him, but from what the Arsenal fans are telling me, he's a talent. But I wouldn't say he's priority at the moment. So, listen, I found out Chelsea signed a player from Everton. I was looking through the list yesterday. We signed a player from Everton for 4 million. He's in the under 18s. Bro, my head nearly fell off yesterday. I was like, who is this guy? 4 million. listen, the club's hemorrhaging money, but it's not about Chelsea. Let's move on to Ollie Watkins, because again, Ollie Watkins is playing a game against Celtic, Champions League last night. My phone's going mad again because now I'm seeing Ollie Watkins, Arsenal trying to put bids in for Ollie Watkins. Like, Basil, talk to me, because we've been talking about Arsenal striking options or lack of striking options throughout this season, and I've always said, I remember saying at one point, Ivan Toney would be a good fit for Arsenal. Ollie Watkins would be a good fit. Isak would be a good fit. All these players, as much as Arsenal still need other things to address in the squad, striker's clearly one of those things. What's your thoughts on Ollie Watkins potentially? I don't think he'll go now because of Jhon Durán, but if there is an opportunity, I think Arsenal are going to come in for a second attempt in their bidding. What's your thoughts on all of this? Because are you a fan of him, first of all?
No, you should absolutely stop there. And the fact, and it's a disgrace that we've got to the point where a few days before the transfer market, Ollie Watkins is now the target that we're going for. And like I said, all you really need to do is watch the game yesterday to understand why I don't want Ollie Watkins. He's not clinical at all. Ollie Watkins should have had a hat-trick, 3 to 4 goals yesterday, and ended up with 1 goal. And if you look at some of the chances Ollie Watkins actually missed in the game yesterday against Celtic, very poor. Ultimately, what we do is we find ourselves in the same situations that we have with Gabriel Jesus and Havertz. Maybe not to the far extent of them, but just someone who's not clinical in front of goal. I've always said Ollie Watkins suits Villa because Villa don't have the high expectations as some of the big clubs. So what happens is Ollie Watkins misses, or games he goes missing, goes under the radar because expectations are not as high as maybe an Arsenal, Liverpool, or Chelsea who are supposed to be going for titles. So what people do is they focus on the times he does score or does something, say, oh, it's brilliant. But I'm like, no, if you take it as a whole, it's not. It's good for Villa, but trust me when I tell you, it's not good for any club who are looking to compete and win things. Same as John Obi Mikel says. I remember he went on his podcast, I think last week, he said, I think he mentioned 2 players. He said Nicholas Jackson, and I can't remember the second player he mentioned. He said these guys, they're good players, but they're not good enough for Chelsea to win things or Chelsea to get a top 4. They're not going to lead you to a title.
Sanchez, I think he's on about Sanchez.
That's it. And that's what Arsenal need to look for. Ollie Watkins isn't going to push Arsenal over the line to win things because he's not clinical. That's my issue. Secondly, his age is 29 years of age. So there isn't really an up. There isn't an ups. I don't see a positive on that. And the reason why I say that is because if he's a clinical striker, same as Harry Kane, when all things kind of like the mobility goes and everything else goes, you can always rely on a striker's instinct to finish, which is why Harry Kane and the likes of Lewandowski, even the likes of Suarez, were still thriving in the older ages because everything else can go, but my natural instinct in front of goal and my ability in front of goal still remains. Ollie Watkins' ability in front of goal isn't great. So I'm like, he's reaching 29. How long does he have his athleticism for? Probably another 2-3 years. When that goes, what do you really get? Not much. And when we're talking about the figures that Aston Villa want for him now, especially now he's the only lone striker, is he worth it? I probably would never have gone over 40 million for Ollie Watkins personally for his current output. I just think it's just bad planning for Arsenal that we're 20, because I think the bids, we're like 30th of January or 29th to the 30th of January. And now we're starting to consider bids for strikers, especially for a striker who's the main striker of another club. How much do you think they'll want for Ollie Watkins? Of course, that 60 million to Aston Villa is an absolute insult to them at this stage in the season. Because you don't even even if you wanted to consider it, you don't even give us time to even consider options of a replacement. Arsenal, for me, are just a joke of an institution when it comes to operating as a big club. They're a joke when it comes to transfer market, transfer business, both selling and buying teams. They don't operate as a big club when it comes to this. And that is the travesty of being an Arsenal fan when it comes to their ambition in the transfer market. It's an absolute joke. And that's what I can say about the club, honestly.
Keep going, man.
No, I said I'll try to be level-headed. So that's as level-headed as I'm going to get.
I hear what you're saying, though.
But honestly,
I hear what you're saying.
It's just a disgrace. And for me, it's like whoever was planning our transfer strategy in January needs to be sacked, because for me, this is one of the biggest insults of it all. That hold on, and it's not the fact they're going for Ollie Watkins. Fact, hold on, you're trying to muster a bid for Ollie Watkins so late in the market, who is Villa's main striker. Are you insane?
Yeah.
Are you actually insane? This club, honestly, I
This
have no
this
word.
this
I
is
have no
up
word.
there with the £1, the 45
It is.
million plus the
It's
£1.
equal. It's equal to
Nah,
that
nah, I can't lie.
ridiculous bid they
Nothing
made.
equal to that. Nah, sorry, nah, nothing's equal to that. That
Listen,
is
when that
top
came
tier
through, yeah,
taking the bit.
when
That
that
was
came
top tier
through,
business.
that was not a bid. That was more of a bid to say, look, listen, we're just going to take the piss. We don't even really want him. We're just going to take the piss because you don't pay 45 million plus an extra pound. You put your pound on your trolley to get your trolley out the shopping thing. That's what you put that's what you use your pounds for, not to go and add on to a 45 million bid.
Man. As far as I'm concerned, the contract said anything over 45 mil. So that meets the criteria. You got to say.
Listen, but no, I get what you're saying, Basil. I think 29, how high is the ceiling for Ollie Watkins now? It's probably not, it's probably peaked already. And I think for the money that you're going to expect to pay for someone like him, we have to remember he's English as well. So you have to add another 15 on top of that already, just because he's English, just an unwritten rule. There's other players I think that will be available in the summer. And I'll be honest, I don't think rushing out in the winter transfer window makes sense now. I think the horse is already bolted for Arsenal in terms of whole recruitment that you've mentioned already in the summer, just gone. So I think to do that now wouldn't make sense, because come the summer, essentially you're probably going to still need to look for another striker. So what do you benefit from going out now to try and get Ollie Watkins, pay over the odds for him? Kojo, do you think this is going to happen? Because I think obviously now Jhon Durán going to the Saudi Pro League, it would leave Villa vulnerable. That even if they did bring in Theo, it still leaves them with lack of cover in that department in their attacking options as well. So it's not going to happen, is it? I don't think.
No, it's not happening. No way. And it, look at the money they just received. They can literally go and pay for another striker if they really want to.
Yeah, but the timing wise as well, you got to think.
You still got time. Look, it closes February 3rd. Sorry, it closes February 3rd. So you got a bit of time, and these deals can happen quickly. Look, if I'm Villa right now, I'm going to take the mick out of Arsenal instead, because what I think Arsenal fans, I mean, Basil definitely realizes, and I think other Arsenal fans need to realize this is not a serious bid. This is oh look guys, we're trying bid, but you're not really trying, because if you really wanted Benjamin Sesko earlier in January, you would have paid 45 million for him when he was there. Instead, you went for a loan offer. So if you can bid 60 million for Ollie Watkins, then 45 million for Benjamin Sesko, a striker that you apparently wanted because you need a striker, you pay it, or you at least offer 30 million plus 15. Like, there has to be a guarantee there. You know what I mean? You can't, and Leipzig made it clear, if you're going to sign him on loan, the obligation has to be there, because we're not going to bring him back. We're not going to let you loan our star asset to just bring him back home. It doesn't make sense to us. Why would we do that? He's our key man. So if he's leaving, he has to be leaving long term. It doesn't make sense. And I could smell the BS from a mile away. I was like, you guys are fooling. This is why Arsenal fans get mad. And this is why I keep saying, anytime we discuss Arsenal, I say, this is one thing I will criticize about Arteta, about Arsenal. Edu's no longer there, but Edu at the time, and whoever is there now or will be there in the future, is recruitment, because that is a joke. That is an absolute joke. So now, if I'm Villa, I'm saying, thank you, Saudi, for the money. Benjamin Sesko, come play in the Champions League with me. Come here. 5 million, step on the table right now, and look directly at Arsenal as well. Like them ones. You walk to the Emirates and you're on the phone looking at every Arsenal person like this. Yeah, right, Cisco. Yeah, you're coming through. Yeah, right, cool. Because you have to make a point of it. It's ridiculous.
Well, don't forget as well, RB Leipzig are out the Champions League now, so Sesko is probably thinking, Villa's there, they're in the Champions League, they're through, they're progressed. Why not? The move might make sense. So
exactly. So no, I think yeah, take the mic. That bid was stupid. Genuinely one of the most stupid bids I've ever seen. But yeah, if Arsenal need a striker now, unless it's Theo on loan, I don't know what they do now.
We're not seeing. I mean, if they needed to, clearly they don't want a striker, because like I said, you don't wait 30 days into a transfer market to realize this is what we want to do.
Super Kai.
Super Kai. Do you know what I think might happen? Now, do you know what I think might happen? Kojo, you're running games today. I hear you though. But I think this is going to be a wild take as well, so just bear with me. Yeah? But I guarantee you might either try and sign Sterling on a permanent and bring in Evan Ferguson. Listen, hear me out, man. and try and
Sterling
bring
on the
in,
phone.
try and
Come on,
bring.
let me know.
Well, it's either going to have to be him or Neto because I think due to like the loan restrictions, you couldn't loan Evan Ferguson. But I would not be surprised if you go in for him. But you'd need to make either Neto or Sterling either what's it called? What's it called? Release them. So terminate their loan, or you have to sign one of them on a permanent to free up a loan space in the team. Now, I think Evan Ferguson, I would not be surprised come transfer deadline day. He's looking for a move. Arsenal get panicky. They do that. I would not be surprised. I'm being honest.
I'll say this.
I think they're going to try and go. Sorry, Baz, before you go, so you can add to it if you think I'm being mad or not. I think they're going to try and make a loan move for Marcus Rashford.
The only thing that makes me, the only thing that makes me think they won't is the wages. That's the only thing.
Oh yeah, but United are starting to move a bit like they'll accept whatever wage sort of percentage you want to offer.
Okay, I didn't know that.
So there's movement there. Yeah.
Do you know what?
That's
It'll be a very Arsenal thing to do that. Whether they will, I don't know. Evan Ferguson, I've never understood the Evan Ferguson hype because really and truly, if you count how many good games he's had for Brighton, it's probably been about 6.
Yeah, it's small.
I think he's been a bit unlucky though. Not about his form. Not about his form. Yeah, his injuries have sort of slowed him down. He's slowed down a lot. Yeah.
When you look at it as a whole, he hasn't done much, which is why I don't think.
Yes, it's true.
I never understood the 100 million shouts for him because there was a 100 million price tag nearly linked to him a couple of years ago. I never got that.
Injuries have finished him, but then even if you take it, it's like he hasn't really done anything. So I can see Evan Ferguson more making a move to West Ham because West Ham can take where they are. They don't mind taking a risk on those kind of players because frankly, West Ham, I don't think they even have a striker because I think Fulkrig's injured again, I believe.
He's injured. Obviously, Tonio's kind of played there, but he's out for the season.
So I can see West Ham saying, you know what, we need someone. He's the man. They need a striker.
Arsenal need a striker as well, Basil. We know this already, so you never know, man. I'm just putting it out there.
I'm at peace. I'm at peace for not getting a striker.
I'm just putting it out there. Listen, I think all clubs, we're all bantering, but we all need strikers. United need a striker. Arsenal need a striker. Chelsea need a striker. So we all need a striker. But I think Sesko. If Arsenal get Sesko, then I can't see it happening. But I can see them panicking for someone and paying over the odds for someone on deadline day. Just because, like Basil said, the recruitment's been poor for the last 2 seasons or so, and entering into negotiations with a club that is theoretically a rival, so to speak, in terms of where league positions are, I can't see Villa letting 2 of their strikers go in one window at this point in the window. Can't see that happening either.
The thing's that because one's already going, so then it just puts a price tag on the other one. Because like we've lost one, he's our only striking asset.
You've got to pay over the odds now.
Yeah, you have to pay over the odds.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense, man. But I don't know, man. We'll have to see. Transfer deadline day is Monday. I don't know what time it finishes, but we'll be doing a transfer special throughout that day because I think there's going to be some shockers. I can see some outgoings for Chelsea, some incomings.
Yeah, I've got the day off.
He said he's got the day off. We know you got the day off. Transfer deadline day. Man sat there with the 3 laptops and the 2 phones, like Fabrizio. but no, it'd be good, man. It'd be good on transfer deadline day. I'm sure there's going to be some shockers, and I like it as well. I want there to be shockers. I want there to be a bit of nothing worse than transfer deadline day, and like I'm hoping our transfer deadline day isn't just Trevor Chalobah being recalled from Crystal Palace. I do want us to try and get some players off the books and some in. I think United need to do that. Arsenal, you can never rule them out with doing something. I did not see Raheem Sterling going there in one of the last windows. So you just never know. You just never know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it could potentially be a crazy last few hours of the transfer market where you see maybe 1 or 2 unexpected moves just happen like that.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't want Chelsea to really do anything good. However, I will say this because as much as I don't like them, I'm a football fan and I want to watch some good football. So Todd Bowley, if by any chance you're on YouTube one day and you pop into Style of Play, my guy, sign a goalkeeper. Stop it.
He won't sign one. We've got 7 or 8 on the books. We are not signing a goalkeeper, guaranteed.
I do not care. I do stop it. Or just sell him. Let Jorgensen come through and then I don't know, find some other you. It's fine. Just stop it, please.
Listen.
Stop it. Stop it.
Monday's going to be interesting because we've got transfer deadline day and then we play West Ham. Graham Potter comes back to Stamford Bridge. And if I see Sanchez in goal, I'm going to kick the TV off the wall. I'm telling you that much from now. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like the videos. Kojo, Basil, thank you as always joining in the discussion. We will be back very soon with another podcast episode. So enjoy the weekend when you get to it. And we'll be back soon, man.